Welcome back to No BS Talk, everyone. As I promised, we have a very special guest here with us today. And I told you a little bit about biohacking before the break, and she hopefully will enlighten us a little bit more. But before that, I'm going to get her to introduce herself and tell us all about an exciting contest she has going on. So, Rowena Gates, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a
So
pleasure to
just
have you.
yeah, let me just give you a little bit that I'm an entrepreneur from the beginning of time. First internet-based company was in 1995,
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
yeah, we were ahead of the curve. Um, and it was transportation, logistics, international trade. And I said that I'd sold a company, I'd worked there a couple of years, and then I was going to take some time off. And I said to my partner that I'll help with your company, which was in the medical device field. And
Okay.
I ended up loving it because it helps people, and people would call and say, oh wow, this is really, changed things for me. And so I never went back to international trade and logistics, and so we've been building this company for many years now. But developed our own product, our own technology. It's a whole innovation of it in its own right. And we've done that over many years, but the product now is called the Nanovi, and it's been on the market for uh, almost 10 years at this point. So it's
Okay.
not new. Background was really with chronic illness. That was our
Right.
focus for a long time. And then I love the biohacking, sort of that whole initiative of caring for your health so you don't get sick, avoiding the chronic illnesses, and being able to really live fully and healthy and happy, at any age. And so that's really, that mindset has really shifted our company over to many people that are perfectly healthy, and they're more interested in improving performance, recovering faster, just feeling good, and even simply to make sure they stay on the rails and don't get sick later in life. So it's been fun.
Preventative medicine. Who would have thunk it?
Oh, it's like,
I'm a huge, huge fan of preventative medicine. I talk about it all the time, nutrition and movement and sleep, all that wonderful stuff. So, if I'm not mistaken, I have a large amount of Canadians that listen. I'm Canadian myself. So, could you tell us where you are originally from, Rowena?
okay, if they're Canadians and from Western Canada and no small towns in Canada, I was born in the cusp, BC.
Okay.
I lived there till I was 8, and then moved to Vancouver, which worked out really well because I always had the roots in literally the wilderness. We were in a log house on the lake. Uh,
Nice.
I wasn't around other kids until I was in school.
Wow.
And then, but Vancouver was great. I went to McGee High School in Kerrisdale in Vancouver. And so that was a really good balance, because if I'd stayed in the cusp, it probably would have, been a different education system and so on. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I ended up ultimately in Seattle, where I came to graduate school.
Okay.
And then for a variety of reasons, I never left, but I still have this longing to be back in Canada.
Well, right now, a lot of us Canadians have a longing to be in the States as well. At the time of this recording, we're just not able to cross that border. So
Yeah,
hopefully soon, fingers crossed.
I know, all those poor snowbirds.
I know. Well, you know what? The snowbirds are going anyways. The
Yeah,
snowbirds are going anyways, and I'm proud of them. They're like, you know what? Nope, this is what I do. And they are finding ways around it. So, to each his own.
mhm,
Anyway,
mhm.
back to the Nano V, which I was introduced to kind of by accident, probably about a year, maybe 2 years ago, when I was approached by the biohackerscollective.org. They asked me if I would be interested in running the Vancouver chapter. And they told me I was a biohacker. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but sure, I'll embrace that. And so I did some studying, and yes, apparently I'm a biohacker. So that's awesome. And there is something in Vancouver called the Biohackers Lounge. Now, there's probably multiple places that carry the Nano V, but the Biohackers Lounge was where I was introduced to it and got to utilize it. So that was a lot of fun. And it was they specialize in helping people, again, preventative medicine. Uh, she works a lot with some of the sports teams and helping with rest and recovery from that point of view. So you had mentioned that your company in general is a medical device company. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a class one medical device in the United States, an
Okay,
FDA class one. And so we follow all of the testing and regulatory constraints of a medical device.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So, can you maybe give the audience just a little bit of insight? Because right now you have a contest going on, and the contest is really cool. I've already put it in the No BS Talk feed, but I will put it in the show notes. I will put it everywhere I can possibly put it. But if they're just listening and they're not clicking on that link, what do they need to know about the Nanovi itself and how they can utilize it?
So the Nanovi is, as I mentioned, a class one device. It's simple to use. You inhale a humid air stream that comes from the device. So you do have to either be stationary or on stationary workout equipment to use it. And it can be used with either a cannula or you can just breathe from a tube so it doesn't touch you. So there's a
Okay.
few options there. And what you're breathing is this humidity that's been altered by the device. So the nature of the water droplets is different. And it's changed into what's called ordered water. And that it has a different impact on your body than the just regular humidity would. And
Okay.
what we're achieving is to get more ordered water in the system. And so we're augmenting a process that naturally happens where the water's kind of charged up and become more ordered in the cell, which means the water molecules are more closely pressed together. And the body needs that because the proteins rely on that ordered water in order to fold. And proteins are a long chain of amino acids and they have to fold into a complex shape in order to work at all. They have to fold and they get the energy to fold from the water.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and so, well, at the end of the day, the proteins, this is the other part of it in biology, the proteins do almost everything your immune system, your digestive tract, your autonomic nervous system, any of these systems in the body are done by protein activities.
Right.
So our approach is to take something so fundamental as the protein activity and just create a better environment for it to do its own thing. So we're
Yeah.
not overriding it. We're not introducing any other substances. It's simply a matter of giving it that little bit of lift so the body does what it's meant to do.
Right. Well, that was going to be my next question is so what do the proteins do? But thank you for explaining that. So if I understand correctly, you're just giving the body a more optimal way to run itself,
Right,
to
right.
regenerate. You know,
Improving that cellular environment a little bit, and the results can be either really profound for somebody who's in real need,
mhm.
and that's noticeable in healthy people for energy levels or how well they sleep, things like that. The easiest one to see is the recovery of athletes after because
Right.
they know how long it takes to recover. They're overexerting, and so they can tell by bouncing back. And then for some people, it's not as clear the impact. They may not be as tuned in, or they might not be so much in need at that time that it's noticeable. It will always help. It has to help because of the way it works. It just may not be noticeable.
Right. And at the end of the day, often preventative medicine is not noticeable, right? And that's, a lot of people give up on things. That's the whole point of biohacking is you have to know where you are starting and then you can measure incrementally, but sometimes the preventative medicine is a little bit harder to measure.
Yeah.
And but I love that this is a medical device. This isn't as seen on TV. This is something that is a medical device and has proven results. And I've seen the results myself. I've felt the results myself. So I'm a huge fan of the product. So other than going to someplace like the Biohackers Lounge, how do they get a hold of this product?
So our company is the best way, which is Eng3, ENG3
Mhm.
Corporation, and it's eng3corp.com. That's the easiest way to do. Is there's a little form on our site that you could fill in, and you get pricing and other information. It never delivers marketing, pure marketing. It's study results and things like that that are
Wonderful.
delivered out if you sign into it. So that's one way. But I have to say, I love the Biohackers Lounge and other places like that. In my dreams, it would be kind of in every corner and every gym.
My dreams too.
I know, because they're not inexpensive. I mean, I have to say, over time, they are very inexpensive. The whole family can use it. It doesn't cost any more. It'll last for, the big device, the minimum spec on it is 40,000 sessions. It's really well,
Wow.
but it's got that upfront cost. And so
Right.
that's where if a gym puts one in and then 20 people a day can use the same device, then it would be really nice to see that happening more. So
Right.
right now we have a lot of them in clinics, wellness centers, spas, and then private homes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I teach a course that's all about time management, and I kind of trick my participants. And the first question I ask them is, what is the biggest drain on your time? And they throw out social media, TV, like all kinds of things. And the fact is, and this is a fact, the biggest drain on our time is not taking care of our health. We don't have time to be sick. So when you look at the cost of something like this versus what it prevents, it is negligible. The
Mhm.
cost is negligible if it will allow you to maintain your health. So I don't like
Exactly.
to waste time or money. But again, you need to look at the fact that if you get ill, especially a chronic illness, but if you get ill, even just, a cold for that matter, that takes you out of the game. And if you're an entrepreneur or if you get paid because you're gone somewhere, you need to take care of your health. So
Mhm.
um, I I totally understand that people, look at the cost of something and go, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah.
And I don't think that Nanovi is one of those situations in my opinion. But please remember, if you want to save time and money, you have to take care of your health. So, before we go anywhere, I want you to just remind the audience of how they can get involved in this contest and really what the contest looks like. I know it's a photography contest, so to speak, correct?
Yes, it's called a photo contest. However, I have to say it's really a creative contest, and anybody can enter it. And so what the only requirement is that there should be some image of a Nanovi device in the picture. Um, there are at the contest site, there are images you can use if you don't have your own device to photograph. It can be slid into the picture in a tasteful way, or it could be tasteless. No, um, it can
My
be
favorite.
something really creative. There's three categories. There's a dozen categories. I didn't mean to have so many. We had so many great sponsors, and I reached out to people, and I didn't think they'd all say yes. And
Oh,
it was
right.
overwhelming. So Dave Asprey's group, True Dark, or Ben Greenfield's Keon, Jim Quick, everybody said yes. And so
Wonderful.
we have 12 categories. And the most valuable one is Happy, which is a really cool device that influences mood, basically. But it's their contribution is over $600, and then ours is another $100 in cash. So that's the biggest prize. And their category is called Ponder. So it can be anything. It doesn't have to have a photograph in it. It can be all done, in Illustrator or Photoshop, and have the Nanovi device flying off into space or anything. And then there's three categories that are like that are really very meant to be very creative. And then the other, I guess that adds up to nine, are more like how you'd use Nanovi for, for healthy sleep. So you might have a pajama party, right? But you guys could have a pajama party and then just Photoshop the device into it. So
Absolutely.
anybody can do it. Well, actually, most people aren't having parties lately, so I might have to
They could do
rethink
a
that.
Zoom pajama party. I don't know.
A Zoom party. Well, who knows? There could be some, yeah, creative pandemic twists on this.
I'm
But
sure.
they're all just different categories, and they're meant to just open the door to creativity. I think it's really important for people to give it a minute and not just kind of say, "Oh, I don't know what to do," but think about it for a second and then get wild and just submit something, right? And you
Right.
can submit in every single category. And if somebody, we only take one submission from each email address. But if you messed up, we would take the most recent submission. So if you did submit twice, we won't block you. We would just only use the last one.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so that you might get even better, right?
Right. So, Rowena, when does this contest close?
On the 10th of December is at midnight, I think it is when we want it to end. We've got excellent judges. We're so lucky. I mean, these guys are really actually very talented judges, but so we want to give them time to work with the images. And we already have we already have people picking it up and getting it going. And so we need at least several days, because what we'd hoped was that we could have our sponsors ship products by the 15th of December, and then people would have them in time for the holidays.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, okay, guys, remember, you got to get this done by December 10th and get it in there. Again, you
And
can, yes.
one of ours is Living Libations, which is a wonderful Canadian company.
Oh, okay, wonderful. We got a bit of Canadiana in there. I
Yeah,
don't think
we've
that's a
got
word.
Canadian content. We like that.
That's wonderful. So, Rowena, if they want to reach out to you or to your company, they just go to.
That website has our phone numbers and
Okay,
everything.
perfect.
And they're welcome to ask for me directly, as long as it's not thousands of people.
Yeah, please
Um,
don't thousands of you reach out to her. Just, go through the normal channels.
yeah, and so the website's got, in the footer, it's got the phone number and an email contact there. And again, that's eng3corp.com, eng3corp.com. And
Perfect.
then the contest website is eng3corp.com/contest.
Awesome. And I do have that posted and it will be in the show notes. So thank you guys very much. And thank you, Rowena. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you here today. And hopefully you'll come back on the show sometime.
Oh, it's really a pleasure, and I hope to see lots of Canadian content.
Absolutely. And you guys can hear us next week. Thanks again. Bye for now.